A beautiful day to do a little bit of podcasting. That's right. I'm your host, Stevenson Longbottom. And today, we are going to be talking about fathers. See, I told you I was going to change up the intro, and I just did. So, in celebration of Father's Day, we're actually going to be celebrating Father's Day all month long. Yeah, I know there's other things going on this month, but I think Father's Day kind of gets shadowed by all the other stuff going on. So what we're going to do here at That's Effin Weird is we're going to take a little spin on this, kind of like the military month, right? We're going to be diving into a couple different father, quote unquote, topics, right? And this first one that we have is we're going to be celebrating, well, we shouldn't be, that's a really bad word to use. We're not going to be celebrating these guys in any sort of way, but we are going to be highlighting fathers of cults. That's right. So if you're into cults, this one might tickle your fancy, right? We got some cult leaders that we're going to be talking about. Now, when it comes to cults and everything, it can be kind of a touchy subject and can be kind of odd and weird and everything, and that's why we're covering it. So nevertheless, this is what we're going to do too. Now, there's a bunch of cults out there, right? And here at That's Effin Weird, we've covered cults before. So we're not going to try to hit any of the ones that we've done in the past. We will, however, mention a few of them just for a little bit of remembering. But a few of these ones that we're going to cover. So we're going to start with some of the ones that we've covered before, right? And if you want to listen to those ones more in depth, you can go back into our previous episodes and listen to those ones. But before we get started, like always, I'm Stevenson Longbottom. Thank you again for stopping by and taking the time to listen, right? I really do appreciate it. If you want to support the channel in any sort of way, we do have Buy Me a Coffee. We have our Zazzle account open so you can rep some merch. I'm experimenting with those different shirt styles and everything like that, and some different designs and everything. So if you want that, I am looking for, however, some local artists. So if you're an artist and you want to get your stuff out there by any means, hit me up. We'll put it on a shirt. If you have all month long to come up with a design for the show, and we can chit chat offline. But we do have those going on, so feel free to rep some merch and everything. But let's get started. Now, again, like I'd said before, we're going to cover a few of the ones that we've already talked about, and then we'll get into some of the ones that we haven't talked about. So first one is Jim Jones, the People's Temple. Now, if you're a regular listener, you know about this one because we've covered it. But if you're unaware of it, Jim Jones founded the People's Temple, which grew to 3,000 members. He exercised extreme control, demanding followers surrendering property and obeying his commands. In 1978, fearing government intervention, Jones orchestrated the mass suicide of over 900 members in Jonestown, Ghana, including children, having them drink cyanide-laced flavor aid. Interesting. Jones himself died by suicide during the event, making one of the deadliest cult tragedies in history. Now, this guy's history and everything like that is very interesting. He started as I believe it was a pastor, and things happened which led him down this path of, okay, you know what? No, I'm actually Jesus or God. I can't remember which one it is, but he believed that he was the supreme being. So he ended up, doing this or thinking this way. And yep, it states that he got these followers, but he wanted his own little area, and this place in Ghana, he felt like he could just do whatever he wanted, right? So he went there with a bunch of followers. There were a couple of other places, it wasn't just everyone was located in this one spot. There was some other places that, recruiting and everything. But family members were not hearing from their loved ones, and they knew that they were a part of this group, right? So, long story short, there was a senator, I believe, that went down there to check up on everybody, to make sure everyone was okay. And it turned out just kind of like a huge show was kind of orchestrated. Like, yeah, everyone's happy, right? And they had to fly down there. And as they were leaving, a huge gun showdown, shootout happened, right? That senator, I believe, died from his injuries. And I don't think everyone got away as far as like escaping from it. I think the pilot was also shot, so I don't think that they were able to actually fly away. But it's been a minute. This was the Jonestown, and that's what it was called. That was one of our earlier episodes, so it's been a couple of years. So I'm trying to dig back into my my core memories and dig out information. So I do know that there was a shootout at the runway. I can't remember if they got away or if they didn't, but I do remember that I think a few of them did survive. I think they crawled into the grass or something like that, because again, this was kind of like the jungle area, so they were able to hide. But I think when time went by and no one, like the senator didn't come back, I believe, then they sent more people down there. And yeah, there's footage of it online, like a helicopter view of the entire place. Again, very tragic and everything. So, this is Jim Jones, right? But there is also a very good mockumentary, because it almost does a play-by-play of what actually happened down there. Again, it's a movie, so it's not exact. It's almost like the Chainsaw Massacre, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, Ed Gein, yada yada. There's like some aspects that are real, but this one pretty much follows kind of the same formula and the same things that are going on at Jim Jones. It's called this. I think it's called The Sacrament. Yeah, the Sacrament. So the Sacrament is a scared ritual or sign. Oh, that's Sacrament movie. Yes, that is what it's called. It's called The Sacrament. It follows a pair of vice journalists accompanying a man to a remote religious commune to reconnect with his sister, only to find its utopia vendor hides something deeply unsettling. Shot in a found footage style and inspired by real life cult tragedies. The producer is Elon Roth. So if you know anything about his movies, he is a horror movie kind of junkie, and he does all that. So it's not bad. I'm looking at the scores. It has a 66 or 6.1. I will say it's one of those movies that does take a little bit of time to build up, but I like those kind of movies. It's almost like the Blair Witch Project, where it's like nothing happens the entire movie, but it's the suspense that keeps kind of building. I feel like that's what this is. I bet you the Blair Witch Project has a way better Blair Witch Project 1999. I bet the Blair Witch has a way better score. Let's see here. Rating. No, it has a 6.5 on IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes critics score 86 and an audience of 87. So yeah, again, it's all right. So I wasn't too far off, but yeah, it's one of those movies where it does take a little bit of time to get going. I thoroughly enjoyed it, though. Just go watch it, right? If you want a cinematic kind of what happened down there, this kind of gets you there. But if you want an actual step-by-step of all the events that did happen during it, go watch one of our previous episodes on Jonestown. It's called Jonestown, but it's going to be it's season 1 way back when. So go ahead and take a look at that. But I digress. We will get on to our next one, which again, we've covered this one before too, is David Koresh, the Branch Davidians, right? So David Koresh was born, Vernon Howell, led the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas, claiming to be the Messiah. He married underage girls and stockpiled weapons. In 1993, a 51-day standoff with FBI ended in a deadly fire, killing Koresh and many followers. His manipulation and teachings amplified the lethal combination of a religious fanaticism and authoritarianism control. So yeah, This one was this was Clark's first episode. One of our co-hosts. This was one of the first episodes that he did with us, and he broke it down perfectly. So yeah, and that episode's called the Branch Davidians. You can go back and listen to that one. But again, this one is really crazy, and there's plenty of documentaries and Netflix specials and all those things talking about this, because it's very odd, and just how did this come to be? I can't remember his early life. I want to almost say it was almost the same thing, where he was some sort of religious leader type esque, and then he just kind of was like, hey, you know what? No, I'm the Messiah, and he just kind of went down that path. I almost feel like that's kind of what it is with these cult leaders, is that they follow something, or they're kind of already a leader of some sort of religious group, and then they're like, you know what? I bet I can just branch off and do my own thing, and everybody will follow me. Everyone likes me, right? If you're in a cult, or if you're a cult leader, let's talk. I'm always looking for a good chat. Let's hear what your thoughts are, right? But anyways, yeah. So he did all of this, standoff with the FBI and everything, and there's videos of like tanks, and just it's crazy. It's crazy enough. There is another movie kind of based on this believe it or not, Kevin Smith, I believe, is the director or producer. He's the one kind of behind the scenes on this one. Let me make sure it's the Red State movie. Red State is a tense horror thriller from Kevin Smith. Yep, that follows three teens whose reckless online encounter leads to captivity by a preacher and his followers, sparking an ATF standoff, mixing religious extremism, government overreach, and a siege action. So yeah, this one, I remember watching this one, and this one was I don't know. I did not think it was going to be IMDb score of 6.1 and Rotten score of 62. I guess people are just kind of really harsh with these ratings. I don't know. Maybe it takes a lot to get a number one spot. Anyways, I guess I like shitty movies. This one does take a little while to get going, but it is good. I would, if I were you, like these last two movies, I would stick through them. They're really good. But it builds up and everything. It's not in your face, action the entire time, which I feel like as a society we need those quick dopamine hits. But never mind, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about cults and everything. But good movie, I suggest it. So there's that, the Branch Davidians. What else can I say about this one that I remember? Again, this was one that we did probably about 2 years ago, and I don't remember. Clark was the one who had done the bulk of the research in this one. I was just kind of sitting and listening to it, but it is a pretty fascinating story. I do remember that there was one, what was it? Negotiator that was trying to stop this whole thing, and I think he was getting really close. I want to say I saw this on a documentary or like a short or something like that. Like he was doing his best and he was getting somewhere, but then all of a sudden just shit hit the wall. And that's probably the classic ones where you see the FBI agents on top of the roof and everything, and there's that standoff. So I want to say he was making headway, and I think he was able to get some people released, I believe. I don't know. I'm gonna go back and listen to it, and then get a little bit of an update on this. But Branch Davidians, another cult leader, tragic end. And again, anything with kids involved is just, it sucks, right? Like that's, if you want to do what you want to do and you're an adult, okay, but leave fucking kids out of this shit. You know what I mean? So, all right, that's our second cult leader. Now, these other ones that we're going to be talking about are probably ones that we've never even touched before. One of them is I'm pretty excited about because we're going to be talking about none other than Heaven's Gate. Now, with Heaven's Gate, right, I think it's important that we do a couple of things with this episode. First, we're actually going to go over the incident that happened, the leaders and everything. And then we're going to take a step to the side and actually go to their website. Yes, they actually have a website that's open right now, and it's still active. Which, I mean, that's kind of surprising, right? You'd think that all of the members, if you're unaware, we'll get into it, but nevertheless, it is still active. So Heaven's Gate is a religious group, right? Was an American new religious movement, often primarily known for its mass suicide of its members in 1997, often described as a cult. It was founded in 1974 and led by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles, known within the movement as Do and T. So that's what they refer to themselves as. As I was first reading this, it was kind of confusing. I didn't understand that. But yeah, that's what they refer to themselves as, is Do and T. So D-O and T-I, respectively. Nettles and Applewhite first met in 1972 and went on a journey of spiritual discovery, identifying themselves as the two witnesses of the Book of Revelations, attracting a following of several hundred people in the mid-1970s. In 76, a core group of a few dozen members stopped recruiting and instituted a Mosaic lifestyle. Scholars often described the theology of Heaven's Gate as a mixture of Christianity, millennialism, New Age, and UFOlogy, and it has been described or characterized as UFO religion. The central belief of the group was that the followers could transform themselves into immortal terrestrial beings by rejecting their human nature and would ascend to heaven, referring to as the next level or the evolutionary level above human. The death of Nettles from cancer in 1985 challenged the group's views on ascension. While they originally believed that they would ascend to heaven while alive aboard a UFO, they came to believe that the body was merely a container or a vehicle for the soul, and that their consciousness would be transformed to the next level body upon death. On March 26, 1997, deputies of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department discovered the bodies of the 39 active members of the group, including Applewhite, in a house in the San Diego County suburb of Rancho Santa Fe. They had participated in a coordinated series of ritual suicides, coinciding with the closet approach of Comet Hale-Bopp. Just before the mass suicide, the group's website was updated with the message, "Hale-Bopp brings closure to Heaven's Gate. Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion. Graduation from the human evolution level. We're happily prepared to leave this world and go with T.I.'s crew. So that's kind of what happened with Heaven's Gate, right? Like, that's just kind of like in a nutshell what was going on. You had these two individuals kind of running the group. And again, we almost see this kind of like with other cult leaders. They believe something already, and then they take like a side turn, and then they go believe, or they get this other group to follow them, right? There is quite a bit about all of this, the early life, how they grew up, all of that. It is quite lengthy. I mean, it is, there's a lot to unpack with this one. What we can go to right now is probably what you're more interested in, is the suicide itself than actually what the cult believes, or I guess the religious group believes. We'll go over that, but then we're actually going to take a side step, like I said, and we're actually going to go to the website, and I'm going to be reading from the website and everything, because like I said, it's still active. So in October of 96, the group rented a large house, which they called the monastery, a 9,200 square foot mansion located near 18341 Colonial Notre, later renamed to Paseo Victoria in Rancho Santa Fe, California. They paid the $7,000 per month rent in cash, equivalent to $14,000 in 2025. Holy shit. The same month, the group purchased alien abduction insurance that would cover up to 50 members and would pay out $1 million per person. The policy covered abduction, impregnation, or death by aliens. In June of 95, they had purchased land near Manzoa, New Mexico, and began creating a compound but out of rubber tires and concrete, but had left abruptly in April of 96. On March 13th, 97, the media reported a mass sighting of unidentified lights over Phoenix. During March of 19 and 20, those are the dates, Marshall Applewhite taped himself in video titled Dew's Final Exit, speaking of mass suicide and the only way to evacuate this Earth after asserting the comet Hale-Bopp was the sign that the group had been looking for, as well as the speculation that an unidentified flying object was trailing the comet. Applewhite and his 38 followers prepared for the ritual suicide, coinciding with the closest approach of the comet, so their souls could reach the next level before the closure of Heaven's Gate. Members believed that after the deaths, a UFO would take their souls to another level of existence above human, which was described as being both physical and spiritual. Their preparation included most members videotaping a farewell message. The 39th adherents, 21 women and 18 men between the ages of 26 and 72, are believed to have died in 3 groups over 3 successive days, with the remaining participant cleaning up after the prior group's deaths. Interesting. The suicides began on March 22nd or the 23rd in 3 waves. Members took lethal doses of sedative drug mixed with applesauce and pudding. They also consumed vodka, which causes fatal overdose when consumed with another drug. Afterwards, they secured plastic bags around their heads to induce asphyxiation. Now, again, as you're listening to this, we don't do any of this. That should be without going said, right? Don't do any of this. This is bad. Afterwards, they secured plastic bags around their heads to induce asphyxiation. All 39 were dressed in identical black shirts and sweatpants, brand new black and white Nikes, decades athletic shoes, and armbands, patches reading Heaven's Gate away team. One of the many instances of the group's use of Star Trek terms. Each member carried a $5 bill and 3 quarters in their pocket. According to the former member, this was a standard for members leaving the home for jobs, and a humorous way to tell us they all had left the planet permanently. The $5 bill was for covering the cost of vargency laws, and the quarters were for calling home from payphones. Another former member stated that it was a reference to a Mark Twain story, which said $5.75 was the cost to ride the tail of a comet to heaven. No such passage from the writings of Twain's is known in existence. However, after the member died, a living member would arrange the body to be removing the plastic bag from the person's head, followed by posing the body so that it would be neatly in its own bed, with faces and torso covered with a square purple cloth for privacy. In a 2002 interview with Harry Robinson, 2 members were not in Rancho Santa Fe when the suicides happened. Said that the identical clothing was a uniform representative of unity for the mass suicide, while the Nike decades were chosen because the group got a good deal on the shoes. Applewhite was also a fan of Nikes, and therefore everyone was expected to wear and like Nikes within the group. Heaven's Gate had a saying, "Just do it," echoing Nike's slang, but pronouncing do as dough to reflect Applewhite's nickname. So dough, interesting. So it's not do, it's dough. Okay. Among the dead was Thomas Nichols, brother of the actress Nichelle Nichols, best known for her role as Euthura in the original television series Star Trek. Applewhite was the third to last member to die. 2 people remained after him and were the only ones found with bags over their heads and not having purple cloths covering the top's halves. Before the last of the suicides, similar sets of packages were sent to numerous Heaven Gates individuals. Among those on the list of recipients was Rio DiNelago. The package D'Angelo received on the evening of March 25th contained, like the other packages that were sent out, 2 VHS tapes, one with Doe's final exit and the other one, or Doe final exit, and the other one with the farewell message of the group followers. It also contained a letter stating that, among other things, they were exiting our vehicles just as we entered them. D'Angelo informed his boss of the contents of the package and received a ride from Los Angeles to Heaven's Gate home so that he could verify the letter. D'Angelo found a back door initially left unlocked and used a video camera to record what he saw. After leaving the house, D'Angelo's boss, who had waited outside, encouraged him to make calls alerting authorities. The San Diego Sheriff's Department received an anonymous tip, 911, at 3:15 p.m. on March 26, suggesting that they do a check on the welfare of the residents. Days after the suicides, the caller was revealed to be D'Angelo. The caller, "Yes, I need a report, a anonymous tip. Who do I talk to?" The Sheriff's Department. "Okay, this is regarding what?" Caller, "This is regarding a mass suicide, and I can give you the address." San Diego County 911 call, March 26, 1997, 3:15 p.m. The lone duty, who first responded to the call, entered the home through the side door, saw 10 bodies, and was nearly overcome with a pungent odor as the bodies had already begun decomposing in the hot Southern California spring. After a search by two more deputies found no one alive, they retreated until a search warrant could be produced. So, with all that being said, that is kind of what happened with the whole Heaven's Gate suicide incident, right? I know that's kind of like what we were, referring to and kind of wanted to get into the nitty gritty of. And it's crazy how when we just think about cults and people leading other people, like, I don't know. It's sad in a way that people will trust someone to the very end to even take their life. Like, again, do not do that in any sort of way, right? It's I'm trying to find the right words here. I just don't see how. I mean, I get the sense of belonging, right? Everyone wants that sense of belonging and to be there and, to be loved and just to feel accepted and everything. But can you be so far gone? I mean, obviously that if someone says take your life, that you actually do it. Now, again, like these teachings that they were saying, right? As far as, you have to hop on there's a comet coming and there's a UFO, and the only way to get there is by your soul going to it. Like, I understand, like, the world that we live in sucks. It does, but there's a lot of great things about it too, right? You gotta take the good with the bad, as they say, right? Like, shit, I mean, a nice spring day, going for a walk, feeling that breeze on your face. I mean, it's awesome, right? I mean, like, even now, at least here in the state side, it's getting a little bit warmer. You have summer around the corner. You get to go chill by the lake, go take some walks, just get some fresh air. Sometimes that's all you need, right? Just reflect and everything. I mean, but if you have that sense of belonging, you want that sense of belonging, there's always things to do. There's always, go to the library, meet a friend, right? Go to a cookout, go to a pumpkin patch, shit like that, right? Just meet somebody, talk with people, right? Don't be weird, right? I mean, everyone likes a little effing weird stuff, but now I get it. Like, it sucks that, things like this happen. It really would be fun to talk to anybody. If you know anybody, or if you do, studies on cult leaders and like how they, I guess brainwash in a sense, followers to do these sort of things. Because even look at the Jim Jones thing, right? Like, that many people. Now, I'm wondering if any of these, mass suicide things had any forced upon people. And I can only imagine if there's that many members. Now, this one was a little bit smaller of a group, right? But some of the other ones, though, where it's the Jim Jones, everyone was forced to do it rather than by their own will and everything like that. But it's I don't know. I say just take a step back, actually look at what, and that's why, like, when, like, a couple of months ago, now we had the spirituality month, right? Where we talked about different people's beliefs and what they saw. It's like very interesting to see, like, what people actually believe in, their thoughts and everything like that. Like, sometimes you need to take a step back from what you believe in and listen to other people and just go from there. But we'll actually get into the Heaven's Gate website. So it is still up. It's www.heavensgate.com, right? If you open up that front page, we'll talk a little bit about it and what they have going on this page. It's very 1990s website-esque. There's not much to it, but like I said, it is still active, and I'll tell you why in a second. So whether Hale Bop was a companion or not this is from the front page, right? Like, right when you open it, I'm reading what they have here, is irrelevant from our perspective. However, its arrival is joyous, very significant to us at Heaven's Gate. The joy is that our older member in the evolutionary level above human, the kingdom of heaven, has made it clear to us that Hale Bop's approach is the marker we've been waiting for. The time for arrival of the spacecraft from the level above human to take us home to their world in the literal heavens. Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion. Graduation from the human evolutionary level. We are happily prepared to leave this world and go with T's crew. If you study the material on this website, you will hopefully understand our joy and what our purpose here on Earth has been. You may even find your boarding pass to leave with us during this brief window. We are so thankful that we have been recipients of this opportunity to prepare for membership in their kingdom and to experience their bondless caring and nurturing. So you go to this website, that's right there what their statement kind of thing is, and then if you scroll a little bit more down, you have a bunch of different tabs. Now I've clicked through a couple of different ones. It's Doe's intro, our purpose, the simple bottom line. I'll read a little bit about that. It is quite long, so I'm just going to take some bits out of that. You have the statement by E.T. You have overview of present mission, last chance to advance beyond human, access to our book online, transcripts to 2 recent videos, which those are just in German, our position against suicide, how a member of the kingdom of heaven might appear, which is kind of, if you click on that, it's a picture of an alien. Not a real one, it's just a sketch, obviously. Earth exit statement by students, and then exit press release. Away team returns to level above human. So if you go digging into this website, there is a lot of there's a lot to unpack in this, and I will leave the website in the description so you can take a look at all the different stuff if you really want to. But they don't have like actual videos of Doe and T in any of the sense. They do have a book that you can purchase for $45 about their teachings, and then they also have an email address, which I emailed, right? So let me read you the email that I sent to them. So interview question mark. Hello, my name is Stevenson and I host a podcast about weird and odd topics around the world. I was wondering if there would be any possibility to do an interview on your belief system. I feel that your faith is only really interpreted by past events and no one actually sits down and hears the beliefs or the faith aspect about your faith. Kind of weird sense there. If this is something you would like to do, we can set up a call or discuss this more. I will leave a link to my past episodes so you know there's nothing malicious going on. My podcast is informative in nature. I let the audience come up with their own thoughts. Thank you, Stevenson. And I left a link. And they actually replied in an email. They said, no, thank you. That's it. Yep. Is a no, thank you. So someone is still running the website, and I just don't know how. I don't know if this is someone who's seriously a part of the group. I don't know if the group actually has like sit downs. I don't know if they have like another compound. I don't know if they have a meeting place. I don't know anything about it. Like I really want to get more information about this and to see if they are awaiting another comet that has a UFO behind it or something, like what, I don't know. That's the thing. And that's why I wanted to have an interview. It sucks that they don't want to sit down and actually talk. It could be one of these things I'm saying it is, but could it be someone that's just exploiting this, right? And just put stuff together and as like sending a book off and getting $45. I don't know. I'm really tempted to purchase the book and read it and do a part 2 to the Heaven's Gate thing. But that will be later on down the road. I will kind of make my decision on there. But one last thing that we'll cover about Heaven's Gate is the Doe's intro, our purpose, the simple bottom line. We're going to talk about that. Again, there is a lot in here. So I'm only going to take bits and pieces. Again, if you want to read all of it, by all means, I go for it. So what our purpose is, the simple bottom line. 2,000 years ago, a crew of members of the kingdom of heaven who are responsible for nurturing gardens, determining that a percentage of the human plants of the present civilization of this garden, Earth, had developed enough that some of those bodies might be ready to be used as containers for soul deposits. Upon instruction, a member of the kingdom of heaven then left behind his body in the next level, similar to putting it in a closet like a suit of clothes that doesn't need to be worn for a while. Came to Earth and moved into an adult human body or a vehicle that had been prepped for his particular task. The body that was chosen for the call was. That calling was called Jesus, the member of kingdom of heaven, who was instructed to incarnate into the body, did so at his father's instruction. He moved into that body when it was 29 or 30 years old, and at the time referred to it as a baptism by the John the Baptist. Let's see here. I'm just kind of skimming through. That body was triggered in its formative period to be the next level representation, and even just that tagging gave the vehicle some unique awareness of its coming purpose. Kind of confusing right there, but it almost sounds like kind of what was almost like what we had read before. It's a mixture of like Christianity and ufology. Why is it so difficult to believe or accept us? We don't know if you believe in the real existence or negative or lower forces. If you do, then you may be able to understand or relate to some of what we are about to say. It seems that how your programming permits you to see or identify those forces determines the limits of your acceptance or understanding. Many believe that there are evil acts or evil individuals, but would draw the line before they would believe in evil spirits, evil negative influences, malevolent space aliens, Luciferians, or Satan and his fallen angels. The general accepted norms of today's society world over are designed, established, and maintained by the individuals who were at one time students of the kingdom of heaven, angels in the making, who flunked out of the classroom. Legends and scriptures refer to them as fallen angels. Many segments of society, especially segments of the religions, think that they are not of the world, but rather their experience finds them outside of worldliness. The next statement that we will make will be the big tester, the one that the lower forces would use to clearly have the discredit or disregarding of us. The statement is, unless you are currently an active student or attending to become a student of the present representative from the kingdom of heaven, you are still of the world, having done no significant separation from the worldliness, and you are still serving the opposition of the kingdom of heavens. The statement sounds to humans who have been carefully programmed by the lower forces arrogant, pompous, as if by taking this stand we had something to gain, as if there was seeking recognition as deity or self-appointed prophets. Oh, geez, we will between now and our departure do everything we can for those who want to go with us, but we cannot allow them to interfere with our delay or turn to him. Doe. So that was there's a lot. I only read like a paragraph or two from his whole thing, but if you want to get more into that, you can definitely check out that website. There's a lot. It's kind of confusing. I think if you're not hearing it from the source, and if he's not breaking it down, it's kind of weird to try to translate and understand, which I 100% agree. I don't know what I'm trying to. It's hard to pick up what he's actually trying to say there, right? But I don't know, again, if this is like all stuff from Doe, the guy, or if this is stuff that's new, right? It's really hard to like see because there's no dates where like it's been updated, but it is still active, right? So a lot of the stuff is almost 20, 30 years. It's 30 years old by now. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to decipher and everything like that. I'm probably going to get that book so I can maybe just kind of go through it and everything like that. But I don't know. It's interesting stuff. I don't know if this was like, it would have been weird to look at this site when it was like actually in the 90s and everything like that, and just to see like if things were getting updated constantly. But I do know, like I said, someone emailed me back from Heaven's Gate, so someone is doing something behind the scenes. Sorry, I burped. So maybe we can talk with someone who knows a little bit more about this. Maybe we can talk to a former member, something like that. I would really like to do a part 2 of this and really dissect this one more. But we've been rambling on kind of a lot about Heaven's Gate, and we got to move on to our next cult leader. And the next guy that we are going to be talking about is Warren Seed Jeffs. Now, Warren Seed Jeffs, he is you might have heard of the name. He's an American cult leader and convicted child sex offender. He is the president of the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints, a polygamist-based cult in Arizona, and is serving a life sentence in Texas for child sexual assault after 2 convictions in 2011. The FLDS Church was founded in the early 20th century when its founder deemed the reunification of polygamy by the church by Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS Church, to be apostasy, yeah. No, it's apostasy. God, such big fucking words. The LDS Church vows any connection between it and the FLDS. So there is a difference. If you're unaware, so you have LDS and the FLDS, the fundamentalists, and then you have just the Church of Latter-day Saints. They're 2 different things. The other one does not, I guess, agree with or have anything to do with the other one, although they are significant historical ties. So it's almost, I guess you could see it kind of like just like some religions within, It's, just the same thing, but they just kind of differ in some areas. In 2006, Jeff was placed on FBI's 10 most wanted list for his flight from the charges that he had arranged illegal child marriages between his adult male followers and underage girls in Utah. In 2007, Arizona charged him with 8 additional accounts in 2 separate cases, including incest and sexual conduct with a minor. Now, with this one, I do know that there is a Netflix documentary about this guy. Really good. It goes into all the nitty gritty of it. I think they came out with like a part 2 to it, because some guy stepped in his place, I guess, after this dude went to jail, and then was running things almost exactly the same way. Good, very good documentary. If you haven't seen it, I think it's called like Eat. I don't know. It's called like Pray. I don't know. You'll see it if you just type in. You go to the documentary section. You'll find this shit. In September 2007, Jeff was convicted of 2 counts of rape as an accomplice, for which he was sentenced to imprisonment for 10 years to life in Utah State Prison. The conviction was overturned by the Utah Supreme Court in 2010 due to the flawed jury instructions. He was extradited to Texas, where he was found guilty of sexual assault of a minor for raping a 15-year-old child bride, and aggravated sexual assault against a child for raping a 12-year-old child bride, for which he was sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years and fined $10,000. Jeff is incarcerated at the Lewis C. Polage Unit of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice near Palestine, Texas. Okay, so this will go into like his early life, the church leadership, all of that stuff. Long story short, let's see, Warren Steeds was born in California. He was born 2 months prematurely, yada yada. He served as a school principal for 20 years, and was known for being a stickler for the rules and for discipline. Okay, you have that. Let's see here. His father, Roland Jeffs, became the president of the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints in 1986 and had 19 to 20 wives and approximately 60 children. So his dad, almost a carbon copy, or he's a carbon copy of his dad. And then according to former church members, he eventually had 78 wives. Holy shit. Let's see here. Church leadership. Prior to his father's death in 2002, Jeff held the position of counselor to the church leader, and he became Roland Jeff's successor, which we had just talked about it, and then became the president and prophet, seer, and revelator, as well as president of the priesthood. The revelator was the head of the organization of all adult male church members who were deemed worthy to hold the priesthood, a tradition carried on in the Latter-day Saint movement. Roland's death and Warren's session in the leadership position caused a split in the FLDS church between Jeff's followers and the followers of Winston Blackmore, the longtime bishop and British Columbia group of the FLDS Church. More than half of the Canadian branch members left the FLDS Church to stay with Blackmore and their leader. And Jeff's, excommunicated Blackmore in September of 2002. After Roland died, Warren told the high-ranking FLDS officials, "I won't say much, but I will say this: hands off my father's wives." When addressing his father's widows, he said, "You women will live as if father is still alive in the next room." Within a week, he had married all but 2 of his father's wives. One refused to marry Jeff's and was subsequently prohibited from ever marrying again, while the other, Rebecca Wall, fled the FLDS compound One of the first of Rowland's former wives to marry Jeff subsequently became his favorite wife and confidant. As the sole individual in the FLDS church with the authority to perform marriages, Jeff was responsible for assigning wives to husbands. He also had the authority to discipline male church members by reassigning their wives and children's and homes to other men. Until courts in Utah intervened, Jeff controlled almost all of the land in Colorado City, Arizona, and Hilldale, Utah, which was part of the church's trust called the United Effort Plan. The land has been estimated to be worth over $100 million. All of that land assessed were put into the custody of Utah court system pending further investigation. As the result of a November 2012 court decision, much of that land is to be sold to those who live on it. In January of 2004, Jeffs expelled a group of 20 men from the Short Creek community, including the mayor, and assigned the wives and children of other men in the community. Jeffs, like his predecessor, continued to standard FLDS and Mormon fundamentalist tenets with faithful men must follow what is known as the doctrine of plural marriage in order to attain, a higher being in the afterlife. Jeff especially taught that a devoted church member is expected to have at least 3 wives in order to get to heaven. And more wives as a man means the closer you are, the closer he is to heaven. Which again is very interesting. Because you have you have the Mormon religion that kind of follows the same thing. Not maybe exactly right. I'm not saying that that's the case in everything. As you can see here, you have the fundamentalists of Latter-day Saints, and then you just have the LDS that kind of like separate themselves. I think Mormonism is kind of the same way, where you have the ones that are very strict with what is said, and then the other ones don't believe that at all. I've never talked with a Mormon, actually, and I would love to sit down. If you are a Mormon or if you know someone who is, I would love to chat. Please email me, or hit us up on Discord, or just leave a comment or anything like that, because I'd love to chat and get to know more about this specific religion and everything. But yes, I do know that there was the show Sister Wives on TLC, and I believe that they were Mormon and they practiced polygamy. But that was maybe like 15 years ago I watched that show. I remember like eating ice cream downstairs in the basement as a kid watching that show. I don't know. I don't understand what the fuck was going on, but I liked it, so I kept watching it. But I know as of right now, I'm pretty sure all of those wives that guy had, like, just divorced him. I think the way that it worked and how he got away with it on the TV show, or like how the network was able to get away with it, was technically he would marry one woman, and then I think he divorced them so he could get married to another woman, like, legally. So I think he was doing it like legitly, that's fine. But I think that was what had to happen in order for like the show TLC not to get in trouble by, just filming all of this, like giving them a platform and everything. I don't really remember and everything that too much, but I do remember eating ice cream as a kid and just gobbling that shit up. So yeah, you have this dude. It really doesn't talk too much about what happened. Let's see here. It seems like they were at a couple of different places. It seems like some was in Utah, some was in Texas, and then some was in Arizona. I do know that they'll probably go a little bit more into that, but you guys are probably more interested in the actual, like, the crimes and then what happened after that. So we'll get a little bit into that. So in July of 2004, Jeff's nephew, Brent Jeffs, filed a lawsuit alleging that Warren Jeffs had raped him in the FLDS Church, Salt Lake Valley compound in the 1980s, together with author Maria Solvitz. Brent wrote that memoir, Lost Boy, which recounts alleged incidents of child sexual abuse inflicted upon him by his brothers, and other family members committed when Brent was just 5 or 6. Brent's brother committed suicide after accusing Jeff of sexual assaulting him as a child. 2 of Jeff's nephews and 2 of Jeff's own children have also publicly acclaimed to have been sexually abused by him. In June of 2005, Jeff was charged in Mohave County, Arizona, with sexual assault of a minor and with conspiracy to commit sexual misconduct with a minor for allegedly arranging, in April of 2001, a marriage between a 14-year-old girl and a 19-year-old first cousin, Alan. The young girl, Elisa Wall, also known as Jane Doe 4, and the younger sister of Rebecca Wall, testified that she begged Roland Jeffs to let her wait until she was older to choose another man for her. The elder Jeffs was apparently sympathetic, but his son was not, and she was forced to go through with the marriage. Wall alleged that Alan often raped her and that her repeatedly miscarried. She eventually left Alan and the community. In July of 2005, the Arizona Attorney General's office distributed wanted posters offering $10,000 for information leading to Jeff's arrest and conviction. On October 28th, Warren Jeff's brother Seth was arrested under suspicion of harboring a fugitive during a routine traffic stop in Colorado. Police found nearly $142,000 in cash, $7,000 worth of prepaid debit cards, and personal records. During Seth's court case, FBI agent Andrew testified that Seth had told him that he did not know where his older brother was and that he would not reveal his whereabouts if he did. Seth was convicted of harboring a fugitive on May 1st, 2006. On July 14th, he was sentenced to 3 years probation and a $2,500 fine. And that was all in 2005. April 5th, 2006, Utah issued an arrest warrant for Jeffs on felony charges of rape of a teenage girl between 14 and 18 years old. Shortly after, on May 6th, the FBI placed Jeff on its top 10 most wanted fugitives list, offering $60,000 reward. He was the 482nd fugitive placed on this list. The reward was soon raised to $100,000, and the public was warned that Jeffs may be traveling with a number of loyal and armed bodyguards. On June 8th, 2006, Jeff returned to Colorado City to perform one more child bride marriage. On May 27th, 2008, the Smoking Gun released images of Jeff with 2 underage wives, one whom was 12, celebrating first wedding anniversaries in 2005 and 6. Arrest, trial, and conviction. So we have on August 28th, 2006, around 9 p.m. PDT, Jeff was pulled over on Interstate 15 in Clark County, Nevada, by Highway Trooper Eddie Dutchover, because the temporary license plate on his red 2007 Cadillac Escalade were not visible. One of Jeff's wives and his brother Isaac were with him. Jeff possessed 4 computers, 16 cell phones, disguises including 3 wigs and 12 pairs of sunglasses, and more than $55,000 in cash. Jeff's wives and brothers were questioned and released. In Nevada court hearing on August 31st, Jeffs waived any challenge to extradite and agreed to be returned to Utah to face 2 first-degree felony charges of rape. Each charge carries a penalty of 5 years to life in prison. Arizona prosecutors were next in line to try Jeff. So what I'm getting at is, or I guess what is going on right now, is now that he's captured, all these different states want a piece of Jeff and convicting him for whatever crimes he did commit. That's what's going on right now. We're going to stop right there as far as the rest of the convictions. Long story short, the rest of it goes, he's getting tried in all of the different states at different times, and that's kind of what's going on. So Jeff tried to hang himself in jail in 2007 in Utah. On July 9th, 2008, he was taken from the Arizona jail in Kingman, Arizona, to Las Vegas hospital for what was described as a serious medical problem. Sheriff Tom did not specify the problem, but said it was serious enough to move him about 100 miles from Kingman Regional Medical Center to the Nevada hospital. Jeff has engaged in lengthy hunger strikes, which his doctors and attorneys have claimed were for spirituality reasons. In August 2009, a Superior Court Judge Stephen Kahn ordered that Jeffs be force-fed at the Arizona jail. On August 29th, 2011, Jeff was taken to East Texas Medical Center, Tyler, Texas, and hospitalized in critical condition under a medical-induced coma. After excessive fasting, officials were not sure how long he would remain hospitalized, but expected him to live. Jeff is incarcerated at the Lewis C. Polage unit at the near Texas. He is predicted. Oh my gosh, he predicted in December 2012 that the world would end before 2013, and called his own followers to prepare for the end. In 2012, while incarcerated at the unit, Jeffs released a book titled Jesus Christ's Message to All Nations, compiling various revelations that he said he had received. Among these were set to Jeff's free and warning to specific countries around the world. Copies of the book were mailed to Utah state legislators by the FLDS Church. Federal prosecutors stated in 2016 that the publication had been financed by $25,000 in money defrauded from federal welfare programs and launched through the FLDS shops. All right, the United Effort Plan Trust that formerly belonged to the FLDS was taken over by Utah. That's all that land and everything. Let's see here. And that, let's see here if there's anything else. I feel there's going to consider Jeff to be their leader and prophet who speaks to God and who has been wrongfully convicted. Jeez. I mean, like, that's the thing with all these cult leaders, right? Is that you get these people to think a certain way, and then I feel bad for the people that, still, are believing everything that he is saying, and obviously we're still kicking it here. I did hear an interesting theory, though, that we all did die in 2012 and that we are living in hell right now, which sometimes it does seem like that. But I will say, like I said the other day, like it's great. Just go for a walk, right? The sun is shining. Sometimes there's a little bit of a rain. It's you got to look at the good stuff in life. But nevertheless, that's who this piece of shit is, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest thing that gets under my skin, right, is like when you mess with kids, right? Like, I don't care if you want to mess up another adult's life, and if they are, they want to believe what they want to believe, fine, whatever. They're an adult, they can do whatever they do, but leave fucking kids out of this shit. I don't know how he's still alive in jail, like, because I correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I feel like people like this in jail don't last long, and maybe that's why he was doing these fucking hunger strikes. Like, come on now. Like, I'm sure he got threatened more than once in like lunch cafeteria. Maybe they didn't know who this guy was, but I mean, it's been, a handful of years. I mean, people probably know who this guy is right now. So I'm surprised that he's still kicking it. It doesn't say that he died or anything. Let's see here, penalty after 27 years. Okay, status, incarcerated. Let's see here, penalty, Texas, life imprisonment with a possibility of parole after 27 years. So I don't know. It sounds like, if anything, he's going to spend, at least 37 years in prison. Well, does that make sense? Life imprisonment with a possibility of parole after 27 years. That's for Texas. And then in Utah, he has a life imprisonment with a possibility of parole after 10 years, and that was overturned. Which seems like the Utah one isn't a thing, but the Texas one is. And if he was added May 6th of 2006, that means in 2033, which we are not that far away from that. That's only another 7 years from now. But again, I don't know how people like this survive in in jail and they don't get their, their shit handed to them. But yeah, that's Warren C. Jeffs. Again, if you want more about this and like the actual like witness testimonies and like their perspective on all this stuff on Netflix, there's it's either Netflix or Hulu. I can't remember which one it is, but it is on one of those streaming services where, they do been like, gosh, like that's, I feel like ever since COVID happened, there was like, that was like the Tiger King was like the one documentary that everyone had to watch. And like after that, that was just like fuel on the fucking fire for Netflix. They were like, they couldn't pump out enough documentaries and everyone was watching them and everything. So go ahead and check that one out. That one's, if you have the stomach for it and everything, go for it. But again, it's pretty, it's pretty sad what this fucking dude did and everything like that. Piece of shit. He looks like a fucking nerd. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm not fucking sorry. Why should I be? Fuck this guy. Right? All right. Let's get on to our final cult leader. Now, this name that I'm going to mention is probably one that you've heard before. Now, I'm not too familiar with it, so that's why we're going to be digging a little bit more into, I guess, more information and everything like that. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but he is very well known. But it's crazy because I don't believe he's the one who actually committed all these crimes. It's none other than Charles Manson. Yes. So the Manson family was a commune, gang / cult led by criminal Charles Manson. So apparently he was a criminal. I mean, if you've seen any interviews with him, he is pretty wacko, right? And I don't know if that's due to drugs. I don't know if it's a mental illness. We might find that out as we keep talking and everything like that. But so yes, it was a Charles Manson that was active in California in the 60s to 70s. The description of the group as a family, quote unquote, was figurative. So none of them, I guess, were really related in the sense. I don't know if any of them were actually married to each other, because then you, I guess, could consider them a family. But it's figurative. None of them, I guess, were really related. The group was not known to contain any members of Charles Manson's actual family. At its peak, group consisted of approximately 100 followers. Now, I did not know that. I thought it was only a handful of followers. I thought it was only like 10, but apparently there was 100 followers who lived in unconventional lifestyle, frequently using psychedelic drugs, hallucinogens such as LSD. Most of the young women were middle-class backgrounds, many of whom were attracted by hippie culture and the communal living style, and then radicalized by Manson's teachings. The group murdered at least 9 people and may have killed as many as 24. That's very interesting. Again, I was only aware of that one incident that happened in California, but apparently if it's 100 followers, then yes, but I don't know if it started off in the sense where it was like they were extreme. I'm wondering if it was just like these teachings and everything like that, just kind of like low key at first, and then it just kind of, escalated. Which, I mean, if you look at, or like as we've been talking about these different cult leaders, it almost seems like that, where it's something where it's very mellow at first, but then something happens, and then it's just boom, something happens. So interesting. So Manson had been institutionalized or incarcerated for more than half of his life by the time he was released from prison in 1967. He began attracting acolytes. Oh, okay. Interesting. In the San Francisco Bay Area. They gradually moved to a rundown movie ranch called the Span Ranch in Los Angeles County. According to the group's members, Susan Atkins, members of the family became convinced that Manson was a manifestation of Jesus Christ and believed his prophecies concerning an imminent apocalyptic race war. In 1969, Manson's members Atkins, Charles, So Manson's family members Atkin, Charles, Denton, Tex, Watson, and Patricia entered the home of actress Sharon Tate and murdered her and 4 others. Linda Casbian, who was also present but did not partake. The following night, members of the family murdered supermarket executive Leno and his wife Rosemary at their home in Los Angeles. Members also committed a number of assaults, petty crimes, theft, street vandalism, including assassination attempts on U.S. President Gerald Ford in 1975 by family members Lynette Squeaky Formey. Interesting. I think that big one right there, the whole Sharon Tate one gets, kind of like put at the top there. You don't hear much about the following night, the family murdered supermarket executive. I was completely unaware of that one. And then the assassination attempt on U.S. President Gerald Ford. Totally unaware of that one as well. Now, again, I told you before I was not very familiar with the story and everything like that, but I did know that Sharon Tate, that was one of that's what kind of led to the downfall of the family and everything like that. But I mean, apparently they were doing stuff like this all the time. Maybe it was just that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. So interesting stuff right there. So let's see here. Manson's self presentation. Actor Al Lewis had Manson babysit his children on a couple of occasions and described him as a nice guy when he knew him. Music producer Phil Kaufman introduced Manson to Universal Studios producer Gary Stornberg, then working on a film adaptation of the life of Jesus set in modern America, featuring a black Jesus and southern redneck Romans. Stromberg thought that Manson made interesting suggestions about what Jesus might do in a situation, seeming to be attuned to the role. He had one of his women kiss his feet and then kissed hers in return to demonstrate the place of women. At the beach one day, Stromberg watched while Manson preached against a materialistic outlook. One of his listeners questioned him about the well-furnished bus. Manson tossed the bus keys to the doubter, who promptly drove the bus away while Manson watched unconcerned. Interesting. So that's I find that when there was some lady that was talking about like how we need to be more green and like we can't be wasteful and we need to use like biodegradable products and all that. And she was sitting in front of some sort of lobby. I'm butchering this, but I do remember this. That just reminds me of this hearing or whatever. And the guy calls her out and was like, "All right, hey, what are your glasses made out of?" And she's like, "Plastic." And long story short, he kept calling her out on like essentially everything that she had in front of her, and everything that she was wearing was not natural, and that it was kind of hypocritical for her to come to this board or this hearing, and she's saying how everyone needs to do this stuff, but yet she is not the one who's practicing what she's preaching. So you have here where Manson is hey, material things don't matter. Someone calls him out on it. He's like, "Fine, take the bus, I don't care." So I mean, like, good on him for doing that. But again, I'm not saying the guy's a good person by any means, but I feel like there's a lot of people who say stuff but then don't follow through with it. This dude at least did, right? Again, he's still a piece of shit. According to Stormberg, Manson had a dynamic personality. He was able to read a person's emotional weakness and manipulate them. For example, Manson tried to manipulate Danny Del Carl, the treasurer of the Straight Satan's motorcycle club, by granting him access to family women. He convinced Del Carlo that his large penis helped him keep the women in the group. Interesting. So that's just a little bit about him and everything. Let's see here, some crimes. So Tex Watson, so he was part of the Manson family, right? Became involved in drug dealing and robbed a drug dealer named Bernard Lots Papa Crow. Interesting. Crow alleged to respond with a threat to kill everyone in the ranch. In response, Charles Manson shot Crow on July 1st, 1969 at Manson's Hollywood apartment. Manson's belief that he had killed Crow was seemingly confirmed by a news report of the discovery of the dumped body of a Black Panther in Los Angeles. Although Crow was not a member of the Black Panthers, Manson concluded he had been and accepted retaliation from the Panthers. He turned the ranch into a defensive camp, establishing night patrols by armed guards. Tex Watson would later write, Blackie was trying to get at the chosen ones. Manson brought, those are his words, not mine. Okay, those are Tex Watson's wrote. Jesus. Manson brought his members of the Straight Satan's motorcycle club to act as security at this time. Also, like, that kind of plays into the thing that we just talked about, just getting stuff that he wants. So he was able to manipulate, I guess, a motorcycle club to protect them. This time, Bobby became more involved with the family, which I think that might just be Bobby or Robert Kenneth is an American murderer and associated with Charles Manson, the family, for his communal Manson family. He was convicted and sentenced. Okay, yada yada. He's got to be a part of the biker club murders. Okay, so it talks about all of the murders and everything like this. It's a long rap sheet, right? We should do a whole episode on Charles Manson by himself, the whole family and everything. It's just, there's a lot to unpack here. I wanted to bring it up because, again, it's very well known. Let's see here. I will go, so the murders in themselves, I'm not going to cover that, but I'm going to touch on a little bit of the investigation and the trial. And then I honestly think we just need to do an entire episode on Charles Manson himself. We might do another like cult, themed month or whatever, and I'll make sure that I put Charles Manson at the top of there so we can actually get into the nitty gritty of all of this, because he doesn't deserve an episode, but it would be nice to kind of know a little bit more, because again, I feel like there's information in here that I'm completely unaware of. So the Tate murders became national news on August 9th, 1969. The housekeeper had discovered the murder scene when she arrived for work that morning. On August 10th, detectives of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, which had jurisdiction in this case, informed Los Angeles Police Department detectives assigned to the Tate case of the bloody writing on the house, that's the whole helter-skelter thing. During the Tate autopsy, detectives working on the case noticed similarities in the weapons used. Let's see here. Breakthrough, still working separately from the Tate team, the La Blanca team. So the store clerk one and the Tate team, there was two separate investigations going on at the same time, right? So you had those two working, trying to figure out who committed these crimes, right? So still working separately. The team checked with the sheriff's office in mid-October about possible similar crimes. They learned that the Hyman case, they also learned that the Hyman detectives had spoken with somebody's girlfriend. He had been arrested a few days earlier with members of the Manson family. So right now, it looks like, some time has passed. You have all these different cases going on all at the same time, getting nowhere. Okay, let's try to look inwardly. They find similarities in some of the same cases. They start picking away that, okay, hey, possibly the Manson family might have had something to do with this. Following up leads, a month after they had spoken with the detectives, contacted members of the motorcycle gang Manson tried to recruit as bodyguards, right? So there you go. You have some more pieces where, okay, now detectives are starting to look into the motorcycle gang, right? So apprehension on December 1st, 69, acting on the information from the sources, LAPD announced warrants for the arrest of Watson, both those, Krinkle and Casabane in the Tate case. The suspects involved in the other murders was noted. Manson and Atkin, already in custody, were not mentioned. So it looks like Charles Manson was already in jail for something. Let's see here. It looks like on August 16th, 69, he was arrested on suspicion of car theft. Then those charges were later dropped on account of a misstated warrant. Let's see here. So the trial began on June 15th, 1970. The prosecution's main witness was Kabaskin, who, I'm butchering that, Kazabane, there we go, who, along with Manson, Atkin, and Krinwinkle, jeez, that's a rough last name, had been charged with 7 counts of murder and 1 conspiracy. Since Kazabane, oh my gosh, by all accounts, had not participated in the killings, she was granted immunity in exchange for testifying that detailed the details that night. All right, so you have the whole trial going on and everything. Let's see here. Okay, there's a whole huge thing about the trial and what's going on afterwards and everything. I'm trying to skip down. Let's see here. Tex Watson has been denied parole 18 times since he gained eligibility in '67, including 2 stipulations. In an October 21 parole board hearing, he was given 5-year denial of parole. He remains incarcerated in San Diego, California. Let's see here. Yeah, there's a lot that goes with this, but long story short, Manson was not at the murders that night. He wasn't doing stuff. He was already, I guess, incarcerated. Charles Manson died of a heart attack and complications from colon cancer November 19th, 2017. He was 83 years old. Oh, geez. So, but it sounds like some of the other people are still kind of kicking it right now, but there we go. We still, like I said, we have a lot to unpack with the whole Charles Manson thing. So we'll do our own episode with that. We'll get more into the actual nitty gritty of all of that. But I've been yapping for about an hour and some change. So I just want to say thank you for stopping by and listening to the podcast. I really do appreciate it. We have we are in the fatherhood stuff. So we do have more fatherhood related topics coming out this month. That's what we're covering for the theme, like I said at the beginning. So stick around, keep your eyes peeled for that. Just remember, at the end of every month, we do have our live episode. So if you want to be a part of it, if you want to partake, if you just want to watch it, whatever's going on, you can tune into YouTube, or you can send me a message if you want to hop on and, be a part of the conversation. I'd love to have you. I sit here and talk to myself most of the time, so I would love to actually talk with somebody. But yeah, with that being said, just remember the old saying that we have here: we don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.
And that wraps up another episode of That's Effin' Weird. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to follow, rate, and share the show with someone who loves the strange, the unexplained just as much as you do. You can keep up with all the things weird by following us on social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and soon to be Patreon, where we share our clips, updates, and even more bizarre content between episodes. Got a topic you want us to cover, or a weird story of your own? Reach out to us and be a part of the conversation. We're always looking for the next strange thing to dive into. And just remember, we don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.